Just the damage isn't as severe if, say, you got a big wedge tornado coming through, and we're thankful we don't want anything like that. Okay, rain is still coming down in buckets. We've got another nice little cluster of storms here. Now, this does have some lightning strikes with it, moving through Poteet, Pleasanton, and Jourdanton. This is going to move up into southern Bexar County. This may cross close to downtown if it holds together. Let's put it into motion here. Everything we've been seeing has been moving kind of in this general direction. So this looks like it would probably stay here on the city's east side. Now, if we do get some of this training, then you have to start to worry about flooding. And we've had a little bit of that this morning, too. You can start to get some of that street flooding. That can happen very quickly. We know that around here, some of those low-lying areas. And we're getting heavy rain as we speak in Kirby. And then along Interstate 10, as you head east out of town towards Seguin. And this is moving right up into Converse and towards Randolph Air Force Base. And then eventually up to Schertz and Cibolo. So you're about to get some very heavy rain. This is blinding rain, and we can sample the rainfall rates once again. I think that's always a good idea to give you an idea of just how heavy the rain is. We see that purple color? 7 inches per hour. That is honestly about as high as it gets. So we know that this rain is just coming down very, very, very heavy. And while it may not last an hour, you're not going to get 7 inches of rain. You could pick up a quick inch. I would not be surprised at all, especially with the training that we're now about to see here on the city's east side. So we're going to watch neighborhoods like this for potential street flooding. There are no flood warnings or anything like that at the moment, but I think that is a possibility. And you see the rainfall rates are extreme right now from Kirby over to Wagner High School up to Seguin Road and then along Foster Road. That's where you're likely seeing just street flooding. You're seeing that rain running down the road and going into the drainage ditches and all that sort of thing. So just be aware of that. We'll switch it back to radar here. And Mia, feel free to interrupt me at any time if you got something good over there.
Yeah, I'm still looking to see if anybody has any new KSAT Connect photos or videos. We are on YouTube as well now, so if anybody has any questions or anything that they really need to know or have questions about the radar right now, feel free to hop on over to our YouTube page and jump in the chat. We'll be monitoring that chat box too.
Yeah, ask away. Ask away. We love questions. Pleasanton, rain coming down. Poteet, same story, getting some lightning strikes mixed in here with this activity, and around Charlotte too. These are not severe storms, but they are going to put down the good rain. That really is now the takeaway, and then we'll watch for any more of these spin-ups, although it's almost as if we had that threat come through and now it's kind of passed. Interestingly enough, it was just for an hour or so this morning we saw these storms spin up, and that's something we'll go back and look at as meteorologists and say, hey, why did this happen, and why couldn't we give more warning? Something we'll certainly do. And then you see the storms there on the east side. Again, that's kind of the heavy stuff right now. And
we're getting a couple of photos of some rain gauges and things of that sort. Near the Perch Horizon area, which is far west side, just outside of 1604. A quick inch of rain reported there in the backyard rain gauge.
Okay, that's good stuff. And yeah, you see some of those shots of the tornado. It's all in that one area, and, and we're getting some of those damage shots, mainly just trees down, roofs damaged, maybe some cars too.
Yeah, according to that tweet from Joint Base San Antonio. But this is what it looks like. Again, this is the Fort Sam Houston, exactly the area that we've been talking about near Alamo Heights and Terrell Hills, around 8:15 a.m., which is the time frame that this thing kind of was able to spin up right as it was approaching I-35. And you see a little bit of debris being lofted in. Thankfully, just as of right now, no major damage that's being reported. Of course, we have some roofs that have a little bit of damage. Let me see if I can get this to load a little bit. But this is the Alcove Apartments, if you're just joining us, in the Terrell Hills area. And yes, I've seen on social media that there have been some trampolines that have been misplaced. Danielle Ibarra, she's out at Fort Sam Houston right now, trying to gather some more ground truth information. Tree limbs, snap, even tree trunks too.
Sure.
So definitely seeing at least some debris out there in the area.
Yeah, and that's not a surprise. Not a surprise. And in this case, the roof. I'm not sure what's on top of the roof there. I don't know if that's just like an antenna or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But it is obviously there is some damage there. And again, if you can safely take some shots of any damage where you are, we're always appreciative of seeing what you're seeing. Real quick, I'm going to go to TransGuide. I'm going to see if I can find a TransGuide shot that's there on the city's east side showing some of that heavy rain.
Yep, and heavy rain, of course, it was until the brief tornado happened. Heavy rain has been the biggest story of the morning.
Yeah.
It definitely made for a messy and damp morning commute. You can even see still some of the roadways very damp out there this morning. So you were doing traffic this morning. Was it a bit of a busy morning, I'm sure?
It was. Things did pick up right around rush hour, obviously, but even more so because the rain was coming down. I'm not seeing a lot of issues out there. And, the flooding, I mentioned that. It's not like we have flash flood warnings. This is not just a big problem, but you're going to see just a minor street flooding with the rain as heavy as it is, especially there on the city's east side. And, again, the Weather Service is going to go out and look at the damage today and to see what they can glean from that. We look back at the radar. There were a couple spots where we had some of those spin-ups a little bit earlier. And what I can do, actually, I'm going to try this. Now, keep in mind, this is not live radar, okay? We're going back in time, so this is not happening right now. I can't emphasize that enough. So I'm going to put this on storm relative velocity, which we check out the winds. I'm going to go back to 8 o'clock, which is about the time we had that brief spin up. And you can see the rotation. I'm going to zoom in some right there. That's where it was. And that's where we initially saw the tornado, and it moved off in that direction right there. And we can kind of just slowly step it forward, and then it probably falls apart somewhere around right there. But it did last for, a minute or two, I'm sure, as it moved quickly out to the north and east. So we can actually go back and look at that and look at the winds. And we had other brief spin-ups off to the north and east as well, as we mentioned up here around.
Justin, should we put it over on the Links 3 graphic?
What's that? Oh, yes. Sorry. My apologies. I'm not even showing the radar.
There we go.
All right, let me start that over since we missed it here. My apologies. But what I'm going to do is take you back to 8 o'clock this morning. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. This is not right now. This was earlier this morning. And right there is where we saw. So what you're looking at here, you got the green and the red. It shows winds moving away and towards the radar. So when you get the green and the red right next to each other, you know that there is some sort of rotation. And that's where we saw it, just northeast of downtown. And then that quickly moved off to the north and east and probably fell apart about right there. So this moved up towards Alamo Heights, Terrell Hills, and that's where we're detecting some of that damage. So that's what we were watching with our winds, which we can see via radar a little bit earlier this morning. So let's get back to right now.
I can take over for a little bit, Justin, if you'd like.
do.
I had
Yeah,
them
go for it.
adjust our camera view a little bit. Justin happens to be a bit taller than I am. But yes, because I saw that we were looking on our YouTube chat. By the way, we are still live on YouTube, and we will be for just a little bit while longer. So if you have any specific questions or would like us to time out maybe some rain heading into your neck of the woods, feel free to drop that in. I know we had someone ask about the New Braunfels Shirts area, Justin. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Time out the storms.
And that is exactly what we are looking at right now with kind of this another batch of some heavier rain that's moving in from the south. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. You can see that's kind of been the general motion. Overall, this scattered rain is slowly drifting eastward, but each of these individual little downpours here are generally coming in from the south. So let's head over to the far northeast side. Here's Randolph Air Force Base, Shirts stretching over to Clemens High School, even Converse, seeing very, very heavy rain right now. And what we'll do is, we were doing this a little bit earlier, is take a look at the actual rain rates. And where you see the pink here, that is going to be the heaviest rain, okay? So we'll sample this near Shirts, because that's where we had some folks asking, about 7 inches per hour. So essentially what these little numbers mean, if the column of air was not to change at all, and it was just going to sit over this area for an hour, this is how much rain could drop in your backyard. You're not going to see that much because they are moving, but where you're seeing the pinks here near Converse, stretching over to Kirby, even right here along the I-10 corridor, Wagner High School, all the way over that way, that's where we have those rainfall rates upwards of about 7 inches per hour. So that is a ton of rain. It is almost blinding rain at times. So if you are having to travel in this area and even across 1604, closing in on I-35 near Schertz, Cibolo, this is going to be heading your direction as well. Be extra careful because this is definitely going to slow a lot of folks down as it continues to slowly work its way farther up to the north as well as the east. So I'll put this back into motion again. This is non-severe. We don't have any warnings in place right now. Justin, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to step off really quickly. Can you do the loop for the past hour?
Yes.
I think it may be on 2 hours right now.
It's on 3 hours.
3 hours. There we go. Just so we can get more of an in-depth view of what's been happening most immediately here. But I'll turn this back on so you can generally see that it's moving in from the south. So this is also going to be approaching the I-35 corridor. So if you know anybody that's going to be traveling along I-35, generally in between Selma all the way up to New Braunfels here, pretty close, you know, this is going to be moving in pretty soon. New Berlin, seeing a little bit of heavy rain out that way as well, kind of on the far east side, and even stretching over to the China Grove area, Highway 87. Here's Lone Oak, East Central High School, China Grove right there, seeing some more heavy rain move in. That moves over to 410 as well. We can kind of zoom in just to see the Blue Ranch neighborhood, seeing some heavy rain. Lord Road, Rigsby Avenue, right along the 410 Rigsby State Highway 87 interchange there. Plenty of heavy rain falling right now. And then the farther west that you go, that of course is where we had more of the rain this morning. This whole complex starting to work its way farther eastward. We are drying things out for the most part across western Bexar County. Just have another little blip of rain right there near John Jay High School and Memorial High School, right in between, right near Highway 151, West Commerce Street, Callahan Road. Another little isolated shower to a quick downpour right there too. But that moves all the way down south of San Antonio, Atascosa County, Highway 281, I-37 as well, Lemming, Poteet, Pleasanton. A couple lightning strikes there near Jourdanton and Charlotte too. I believe that's 97 right there. So we haven't seen a ton of lightning with this activity, as Justin was talking about earlier. Really, it's been a heavy rain event, and then of course the couple spin-ups that we've seen this morning as well. But generally, throughout the remainder of the day, most of the activity that we're dealing with right now is going to continue moving eastward. It is moving slowly, so where we have those heavy downpours, you know, just be extra careful if you have to travel in and about. But a couple more, you know, showers and heavy downpours possible tomorrow. This weekend, we're going to start to catch a little bit of a break, and then after that, Justin, focus is going to turn to the front moving in Sunday evening.
You know what? Since we're on the subject, I made kind of a graphic this morning to talk about it. So, real quickly, and then we're going to take a look at some tornado pictures, but if you're tuning in, real quickly, cold front. What to expect? It gets here Sunday. Front arrives just after sunset on Sunday. You're going to see a temperature drop of 15 to 20 degrees just within a few hours, and then wind chills will be in the 30s on Monday, okay? So we're dealing with tropical type thunderstorms today, and just think, we're going to be dealing with some pretty wild weather in a different respect as we get into Monday. So that's we just wanted to talk about that real quickly. And Mia, you mentioned some of the rainfall. We're getting some totals in.
Okay.
Up around the Dominion, 1.8 inches. San Antonio, I'm not sure where exactly that is in San Antonio, but we're getting reports of 1 inch plus now in many spots.
Yep, definitely.
So it's starting to add up. And now what I think we would like to do is we're just going to thumb through some of these KSAT Connect pictures that we have and go through some of the stuff that you guys are sending in. It's so great, and we can see where some of these tornadoes are.
Yep.
Or where the tornado was this morning, excuse me.
Where it was this morning, and this, of course, was the biggest thing here in San Antonio, near Fort Sam Houston, Alamo Heights this morning around 8:15. You can see, yes, that actually might be a trampoline now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer.
Oh, you're right.
I think it is a trampoline.
I think you could be right. And listen, trampolines are notorious, just the way they're structured.
Yes.
They get picked up by the wind, but you could be right on that.
We're going to watch it one more time.
Play it slowly, and if you turn your attention to
Right there.
right where the light pole is.
And then it gets picked back up again with some more debris. There's a little bit more kind of swirling around. There it is again.
Wow.
I think that's what that is.
You know what, Mia? I think you're right. We can't be 100% sure, but it definitely looks like it.
Yep, so that's one of the videos that we got. So let me scroll down here. Here's another one right near downtown San Antonio. This was sent in from Crystal. Let's see here. You can see right there, starting to see the lowering in the clouds. You can definitely see the rotation associated with it as well.
So I'm thinking, I could be wrong, is that I-37 looking south?
It might be.
Northeast, maybe.
Northeast, yeah, coming in from the south.
Yeah, and you can see the rotation. I'm sure a lot of the cars are seeing that and saying, whoa, what's going on?
What's happening? Yes, exactly. Here is another one. This was sent in from the Alamo Dome area. I think that's right near Sunset Station. So this is on 281 headed north, looking northeast. You can see some debris.
Yeah, that's almost looking east. So that I think this is another good kind of clue as to where this thing got started. Just south of I-35.
As long as you guys want to go.
Okay.
Okay.
If you get tired, then.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, that's probably south of I-35, and then this thing.
Yep.
I think it literally crossed over the interstate. And that's kind of a scary thought.
Yep. Here's one of the videos that had first gotten our attention this morning. Right after 8 o'clock earlier, you see it there, touchdown. You see the debris being lofted in the air as well.
I'd be fascinated to know what that debris is. And here's the thing, we may be overanalyzing this, but we're looking at it from a distance. So it's not like that's a plastic bag, okay?
Right.
That's something large that's getting just pulled way up into this thing. It could be a piece of tarp.
Piece of even metal of some kind.
Piece of roof. Yeah, you don't know. Trampoline, as we said earlier. But when you get debris lofted like that, that is a for sure sign you have a tornado on the ground that is doing some damage.
Yep. And again, thank you to everybody that have sent, these photos and things of that nature, videos, and doing it safely, of course, as well. This really helps us kind of look at the ground truth. We can help pinpoint exactly where this whole thing started. And this is also going to help the National Weather Service meteorologists whenever they come down later today as well and perform their official survey.
Now, see, with this, I wonder if that's a piece of debris that just got shoved into that roof. That doesn't look like it belongs there.
It doesn't, which is certainly possible. But yeah, you see all the shingles that have gotten ripped off there. I wonder if that debris, whatever that is, kind of caused that hole at the very top.
That would be my guess.
I'm not really sure.
Or if that's some of the wood sticking out, I don't know.
Right.
But these are things that the Weather Service will go look at, and that's how they'll determine how strong this tornado was. You see the trees down, and you can almost just see the path of this thing. Interestingly enough, if you can back that up actually a little bit, let's take a look at the building and see if we see any damage on the building. Because we see the trees are damaged, right? Right there, the building, this is at Fort Sam, right?
Yes, this is near Dickman Road, Allen Road on Fort Sam Houston.
I don't see any damage to the building itself.
I will say, and this is unconfirmed, of course, this was just what I saw in the comments on some of our social media posts on Fort Sam Houston in particular. There was some damage to a couple of buildings, but it was more so roofs and things of that nature.
Sure. I mean, obviously that tornado came right through where that building is.
Yep.
So I would not be surprised.
Nope.
That's great video coming out of Fort Sam. And another thing I was thinking about, Mia, Fort Sam has tornado sirens, I believe.
Okay.
I believe they do. I have to 100% confirm that. But I wonder if they went off.
Exactly.
I don't know if they did or not.
Yep, so let's see here. We showed that one near East Commerce. Let's check this one out.
We're getting multiple angles of this, which is helpful.
It is so helpful.
It's near East Commerce. And you can see the lowering. I don't see much debris from this angle, but you can see it.
Yeah, right there by the fence.
Yeah.
Just over the fence.
Yeah.
Out there in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else.
And we have Erica's video on there, or the video we got this morning on there. If you want to go to just the pictures on the iPad itself. Well, just do this real quick. And yep, there we go. This was video traveling down I-35
So
this
that's
morning.
right at the I-35 New Braunfels intersection,
So it
I
is
believe.
still south of I-35 at that point, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we determined that it's east of I-37, south of 35 is where this thing got its start. And then it crosses I-35, seemingly right there.
Yep, and you see all of the brake lights.
blame 'em.
Everybody, what's going on? That's what Erica Hernandez said. Am I crazy? Is this really what I'm seeing happening in front of
Sure.
me right now?
I'm sure.
Yeah, everybody probably right there thinking the exact same thing.
Well, again, as we've been saying, this is not shot at the National Weather Service or whomever, but there was no warning.
Right.
So it's not like your phone was going off at this point, and you probably were asking yourself, hold on, wait a second.
Exactly.
What is that? And that's understandable. By the way, we had some people asking, hey, do you go under the overpass? No, you don't want to do that. That is dangerous. In this case, probably the right thing to do, just pause and let it get away from you. Margot's asking, will we be having more heavy storms today or this afternoon? It depends where you are, Margot. East side of San Antonio is still seeing some very heavy rain at this hour, and if you're east of San Antonio, yes. If you're kind of downtown San Antonio west, your threat is winding down.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back. I think there's a lot of interest in these KSAT Connect pictures, so we'll go back one more time and kind of go through these, and then we'll probably let you go.
Let me do a little refresh here just to see if we've gotten anything new in the past 5 to 10 minutes. But it doesn't look like we have it in regards to photos or videos of this particular spin up that we have here. But yeah, we're kind of just, this I think was maybe some lowering on the northeast side earlier.
Yeah, so that was shirts.
That's what yes, right
Yeah.
there. So we haven't gotten any confirmed
No.
reports of anything out that way. Of course, we'll watch it for you for sure.
Yeah.
Just to see if we see anything else. But by far, the spin up that we have been able to, at least see videos of debris being lofted into the air and things of that nature has been the one near I-35, even close to downtown, right around 8 o'clock and shortly after earlier today.
I think it was just before 8 a.m. And of course, the Weather Service will go out and look at the damage and debris, and they'll come up with a path and they'll come up with a strength. But we've been kind of piecing together what we've been
Yes.
seeing. And from that, we've been able to figure out this tornado started just south of I-35, just to the east of I-37, crossed over I-35, and moved towards Terrell Hills.
Yep. Now that I'm looking at the road signs there, Justin, I think what you said earlier was right. This is probably going northbound on 281 and then looking off to the east there.
Yep, to the northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's about the time that's crossing I-35, which we get the other vantage point that is coming down I-35.
Exactly.
So I think when they put that path out, I think that's what we're going to see. And then clearly, it held together all the way to Terrell Hills.
Yep, the Terrell Hills, Alamo Heights area.
And this is the most, I think, telling video. Obviously, taken from a downtown building.
Right.
Which is a little scary within itself. Thankfully, it is, off in the distance. But you see the debris getting vaulted way up into the atmosphere.
Yep. What exactly that is, we don't know yet.
As far as the debris is concerned,
yes.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But it could be anything.
It could be, but we do have some more of the videos showing the trampoline, what we think is the trampoline.
Yeah.
But yes, this was just kind of one of those things that definitely stopped people in their tracks, right? Especially along I-35 and 281 this morning.
Yeah. Well, and someone was asking about kind of the history of tornadoes here in San Antonio. We can see tornadoes outside of spring. We have before. January, February, we've seen tornadoes before. This is kind of an odd time of year, but it does happen.
It does.
And we got a ton of moisture coming in. Moisture's there. We had the right kind of setup as far as the winds are concerned. And we got the spin up. So that's what we're watching. We will, let's go back to radar one more time, Mia, and then we'll call it a day here. Because I do want to let people know that we still got some rain that's tracking through the east side of Bexar County. It's heavy, and we got a severe thunderstorm warning just like that. So, and I can understand why we might be issuing some warnings at this point, just because of the way things have been going. What I'm going to do, Mia, is I'm going to go ahead and ask them to put us on TV as well.
I have them change to your camera as well, because I believe it's still on mine.
Okay. And if you want to get me some of the details there, Mia.
Of course. So I'm going to go ahead and read this out while Justin goes and gets our production kind of together so that we can do an on-air little bit here. But this is the latest that we got in on this severe thunderstorm warning that we have in place for northern Atascosa County. This is going to stretch into far southern Bexar County and western Wilson County as well. This is kind of going right up along the 181 corridor. So this severe thunderstorm warning is moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. It will go until 11:15 a.m. and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail are possible according to the warning. And the National Weather Service, in theme with what we've seen earlier today as well, they are also noting there are a couple of weak couplets that could enhance straight-line winds or maybe even a little brief spin-up. Again, that is not immediate or anything like that. This is not a tornado warning. This is just a severe thunderstorm warning, and we'll need to monitor the characteristics of that wind, Justin.
Well said, Mia. Well said. And so here we are looking at the authority radar, and we're tracking this now severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to pause it, and we can get the latest data on this as far as the warning is concerned. So this is going to go until 11:15, Atascosa County, and then also moving into Bexar County. And the roughest part of this storm is right here, just northeast of Poteet, north Pleasanton, right along 281. That's where you're going to see the heaviest of the rain. That's where there is potential for some of that heavier weather. Now, I think some of the main threats here is going to be the very heavy rain, obviously, but the warning is more so for winds that could be very strong with this, and we want to be very careful that we don't get another one of these spin-ups. Mia just talked about that. It's not imminent, we're not seeing it, but we're going to watch for any one of those tiny little spin-ups that we can see. Right around Lemming, that's where some of the heavy rain is. North of Pleasanton, now if you're watching us from Pleasanton, it is not raining there. It's just off to your west. Jourdanton, you're seeing the tail end of this, and I think what we should do here, Mia, is I'm going to switch this over to the storm relative velocity, and we'll see if there are indeed any little couplets.
And it looks very broad as of right now.
I think you're right. So right there, but that's broad. We wouldn't be too concerned about that yet. Same thing up here, broad. We're not too concerned about it. But if these tighten up, we'll certainly need to jump in and talk about it. So actually, I'm going to take the warning off so we can see it a little bit better.
And as you were talking about, we're calling this a severe thunderstorm. We're watching the winds, but not a lot of lightning associated with it. It's not very electric.
That's been the interesting thing about this.
Yeah.
It's not sort of your typical severe thunderstorm type day, but we're getting some of these very strong winds that we've been talking about. So we'll switch back to radar, and I don't know that are we working on getting.
They sure are. They needed to get some closed captioning, housekeeping details done, and then I think we'll be ready to rock and roll. Fair enough.
If you're watching us on the app, we are tracking this severe thunderstorm. Just came in. It's going to go until 11:30 this morning. It's tracking out to the north and east. And what I think we should also do here is put a track on this. So folks in the path of this storm know exactly what's headed their way. So the heaviest of the storm down here, moving northeast at about what, Mia?
25.
25. right there. So this would put it into Lemming about 10:59 very soon. Verde about 11:35, Calaveras Lake 11:44. East Central High School 11:53. You see the other cities on there, Browning Lake 11:32. If this holds together, we've seen these storms kind of pulse up and then pulse back down, but this one looks pretty healthy. And not only that, the winds aside, be prepared for some very heavy rain, some street flooding in spots as this rain comes down pretty heavy. So let's take this off, and we'll take the warning off for a second and zoom in one more time. You see the lightning strikes. We mentioned there's lightning, but there's not a ton of it. 16 strikes. Not typically what you would see with a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's just, again, kind of the odd nature of these storms this morning. A lot of moisture involved. And again, this is moving north and east. We'll put it back into motion. And we'll zoom in a little bit closer. Folks in Poteet, the worst of this is just off to your east. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of effects there, but keep an eye on the sky. Lemming, though, very heavy rain for you, and that's right along 281, and it's just to the west of Pleasanton. This will work its way up towards Losoya and Elmendorf, Calaveras Lake. These are kind of the areas that we need to watch. And not only that, you've already seen a bunch of rain, so this is just going to add to it. So we have 1 minute here until we go onto TV. We want to let the folks know that aren't streaming that we have this severe thunderstorm warning, so kind of bear with us. We're going to be doing two things at once, and that's the beauty of this appcast, as we call it, or mobilecast. Mobilecast, because you can kind of follow along with us a little bit behind the scenes, what we're doing here. But I'm going to pause this, get it ready to go to air here, put it back on radar. Just took it off. Don't want to do that. And then we're going to take the lightning strikes off. We're going to put the warning back on, and we'll get some of the stats pulled up here and be ready to go here in just a second. So that warning goes to 11:30 or 11:15?
11:15.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to pause for a second. Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Justin Horney here with meteorologist Mia Montgomery. We are tracking now a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Atascosa County and Bexar County. It looks like we've just got an extension now, a second warning for this storm up here. So let's look at both. This is the warned storm here. This is going to go until 11:15 for parts of Atascosa, Wilson, and Bexar County. So this is the far southeastern portion of Bexar County, just to give you some perspective. San Antonio up here. This is just to the east of Poteet near Pleasanton. The region we've got this storm warned for very strong winds, and this is going to be tracking out to the north and east. The other concern we've had this morning, and if you've been watching, you know that we've had some spin-ups. We did have a report of we did see a tornado earlier in San Antonio. Not now. We are not seeing that now, but we do want to watch for any sort of spin-up. We have not seen that with this storm. I want to reiterate that. But some very heavy rain. That's the other side to this. Very blinding rain in some cases as this storm moves out to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. I'm going to take the warning off here so you can see it a little bit better. But if you're watching us around Lemming, that's where the heavy rain is now, and this will move in along I-37 on the southeastern portion of Bexar County. The other warned storm is up around Elmendorf, and I'm going to put the warnings back on now so we can see this new warning. And this is going to include eastern parts of Bexar County and parts of Wilson County. This is going to go until 11:30. This is a very heavy rain producer. We know that. Rainfall rates have been on the order of 6 to 7 inches per hour, and this is moving right over Calaveras Lake and producing some heavy rain as it does. Probably some strong gusty winds here as well. These are moving northeast at about 25 miles per hour. And it's just passing through Elmendorf, but keep in mind, if you're in Elmendorf, you've got a second severe thunderstorm warning that's on the heels of this one that could be moving in. So this is mainly for the east side of Bexar County. We'll take the warnings off here again. Pardon me, take the warnings off. And know that the threat has essentially moved to eastern Bexar County and east of San Antonio as these storms move north and east at a pretty good clip. So know that there is some rain still back over parts of San Antonio, but it's more spotty, whereas this is kind of training, and I'm going to start to be worried about rainfall totals and the threat for some street flooding in these areas as these storms continue to track kind of over the same areas. But With these storms, again, some gusty winds. What are they estimating the winds at, Mia?
60 mile per hour possible.
60 mile per hour winds possible, heavy rain. This storm, severe thunderstorm warning until 11:15. This storm goes until 11:30. Again, they're tracking off to the north and east. And very quickly, while we're here and while I have you, I'm going to put a track on this storm, 25 miles per hour, and it's moving in that general direction. So if you're watching us from Marion, 11:37, McQueenie, 11:49, and then Seguin High School around 11:56. That's when you can expect that very heavy rain, possibly some gusty winds as well. And then with this storm, we'll take this track off, put a new track on for the southern severe thunderstorm that goes until 11:15, also moving at about 25 miles per hour. And this is going to track over a lot of the same places, which is where you get that training effect. Calaveras Lake, 11:20, Browning Lake, 11:09, Martinez, 11:38, Universal City around noontime. We are tracking these storms. If you'd like to join us, we're going to continue to track these on the KSAT weather app, the KSAT app. We're streaming live there. You can join us. Otherwise, we're going to return you to programming. Okay, we're still with you here on the KSAT app, the KSAT weather app as well.
Yes.
And we are tracking 2 severe thunderstorm warnings now that are kind of back to back.
Yep, and just again, this is the latest in from the National Weather Service. Not every wind gust coming out of these storms is going to be upwards of the tune of 60 miles per hour, but there is just the potential to find a rogue embedded wind gust within this little cluster and training line of storms upwards of 60 miles per hour. But heavy rain also going to be something to seriously monitor, as Justin was talking about, because these storms are generally following one after the other, moving up to the north.
Yeah, let's put the 12-hour rainfall total. Look at that. I mean, this yellow color you see here, that we really just got this within the last hour,
right,
honestly. So that's fallen very, very quickly. We can query that. 3 inches of rain. You get that in a short amount of time, that is going to do some flooding. Don't have flood warnings or anything like that. I don't think you're going to see the rivers and creeks just overflowing, but you'll see the roads start to collect some rain. The drains are kind of stopped up. You'll see rain collect on the roads, and there's puddles. If you're driving there along 1604 on the south side, not very fun. There's probably a lot of rain out there. This rain has been coming down in buckets. It's a very tropical atmosphere. We're getting good moisture feeding in from the Gulf of Mexico, and we've got some upper level moisture that's streaming in from the Pacific. So you combine those two together and you get some very efficient rain producers, and that's exactly what we're dealing with today. We've also seen these kind of numbers up around Cibolo and Schertz. Look at these totals now coming in, and that was from that previous storm. So you can kind of see where the path of heavy rain has been out near Helotes, kind of skipped over San Antonio a little bit, and then you got another path here where we're getting some training with that very heavy rain. We can query this area as well, about 3 inches estimated. So again, that's not massive widespread flooding, but this is going to cause some street flooding, I think. And let's go back and look at rainfall rates.
And even in like those construction zones, sometimes I know there's a lot of construction happening out on the east side and the northeast side. Definitely could see some ponding and a little bit of water buildup up that way. Poor drainage, common trouble spots, things of that nature. If you just know on your general routes that a typical area collects rain very quickly more than others, just have that in the back of your mind and just take it easy out there on the roadways this morning.
For sure. For sure. That's great information. And you see the rain rates there, 5 to 7 inches per hour. And these aren't necessarily sitting there for an hour, but if we start to get some training, then you're going to get one storm after the other, and it may rain for an hour, and then therein lies the problem. You can pick up 4 to 5 inches of rain like that, and this is the area down here on the southeast side of Bexar County that I do want to watch for any sort of flooding, and we'll see if we get any flood advisories or anything like that. Nothing yet. This is all slowly moving east, by the way. This whole kind of area of rain, but it seems to be kind of enhancing a little bit, Mia, as just within the last several scans. This doesn't look like your typical severe weather situation. When you just look at the radar, as a meteorologist, I'm not going to look at this and say, oh man, that looks like severe weather, just because of the way it's just kind of all around. But I think that because we've seen some of those spin-ups today, if you've been watching, we've been showing videos of the tornado that happened much earlier around 8 a.m., but we've been showing videos of that. So we've got to be very cautious that we don't get any of these little tails, these little spin-ups, which, as we know, seems to be possible today. So that's kind of why we're being safe here with these warnings, I think.
And on that note, someone just commented, I was very surprised that the spin up that we had earlier here in San Antonio didn't bring hail. And that goes along with, the topic that this isn't a massive supercell or something like that, we typically see that tornadic structure occur. We call it a hook echo. These aren't supercells that are just dropping a ton of golf ball size hail. We just have a lot of moisture and enough spin once you get higher up into the atmosphere that kind of helps some of those characteristics in the winds get up and going.
You're exactly right. And I don't know if this is really the best way to equate it, but think about like a hurricane. When you get tornadoes embedded in a hurricane, it's more of that tropical type situation where, yes, you can get tornadoes and they can do damage, but it's not the tornadoes that we a lot of times think of where we get these big supercells and they put down that big tornado. These are these small spin-ups, but they do their fair share of damage, and we've seen that today. And by the way, our reporters are out in the field gathering damage and talking to folks. So at noontime, we're going to have an update on all that. I believe RJ is out there. Daniela
Ibarra
is out at Fort Sam Houston. And look, we're going to go ahead and stay on with you on the Appcast until these warnings go away. I think that's probably the best idea here. So if you're watching us and just want to stay up to date, we're going to talk for a while. If you want to tune us out, that's fine too. But that's kind of why we're here. And this is the beauty of the Appcast, is that we do have the ability to do this. And we may go back on air here in a second just to update people on the potential of these warnings once again, because we don't want anyone getting, caught off guard like they did this morning. You see some of the heavy rain there around Calaveras Lake that continues to move off to the north and east, but not very quickly. It's moving at a decent rate, but the problem is, again, you have that stuff just feeding in behind it, and that's where you have the issue. And I should also note, we say this is moving out to the east, but there is some more development now right around the airport. And even these, they don't look all that crazy on radar, but they are going to dump some heavy rain. So if you're watching along 281 or driving along 281, the rain's coming down. Same story there along 410. And then even back out towards Helotes once again, who's already seen some heavy rain. You're starting to see a few more showers and storms develop. So we've got to be careful here, I think, with the flooding situation. And I know the Weather Service is watching that very closely as well. Mia, let's try to go over to some TransGuide cameras. I think that's in the show there.
Yes, let me pull that up for you real quickly. That's a great idea, especially, I was going to say I can go over and see if there's any on the far east side as well.
Yeah, check it out and see if we got anything kind of showing the street flooding. I haven't seen anything that looks that bad, quite honestly. That's good. Of course, it depends on where these cameras are, but...
Right. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything over here on the wall just yet.
Okay.
Justin, I can try, let's see.
That's 37 Indian Wells. 410 at Fredericksburg, that's where we just, showed you there's more showers and storms popping up.
I will say what's an interesting kind of just observation looking at some of the ones that we have. Even on the far west side, 1604 Petrenko actually have some peaks of sunshine out there. So that just kind of goes to show that, yes, we do have a couple of lingering showers and downpours out there, but generally the farther west that you go, we're starting to dry things out a bit more. This is really going to be a east side of Bexar County, east side of San Antonio issue throughout the remainder of the morning. And then this whole kind of cluster of storms is going to continue working its way into the eastern half of the area throughout the remainder of the day.
All right. Let's go back to radar. For anyone who is nervous about the current situation because of what happened earlier, we totally get it, because you've probably seen the videos that we've been sharing with you of the tornadoes from earlier. So if you're watching from Elmendorf, same thing going to happen to me. Well, at the moment, we don't have that happening. We just have good, heavy rain. This storm does not show the structure that we saw earlier with that tornado that was in and around downtown San Antonio. We've got the heavy rain stretching down 281 right now, and that's lifting out to the north and east. You've got these two warnings. This one goes until 11:15. This one goes until 11:30. And what we're watching for here are gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour. That's one threat. The other threat's going to be the heavy rain. Now, you don't put out a severe thunderstorm warning for that, but we want to let you know that that is a real possibility because we know how much rain these storms have been putting down. And these will continue to move off to the north and east. Again, 25 miles per hour is the rate, but we've got storms kind of trading behind each other. So it doesn't mean the rain's going to necessarily just end because you may get another storm coming up, and we've got more that are developing off to the south that will feed up into this. So rainfall totals, I think we could see 3 to 4 inches in some isolated spots here on the southeast side of Bexar County if we're not careful. So we do want to watch that. Other storms up there around San Marcos, those are some pretty big storms up around Kyle and Buda. We had some tornado warnings up there earlier.
And speaking of which, this is for the San Marcos storm. This is not for the severe thunderstorms that we have closer to San Antonio, but the National Weather Service, we've been talking about the brief spin-up possibility.
Yep.
They are going to issue a tornado warning for the San Marcos area.
Let's look at it. If you're watching us from San Marcos, and I know we have a few viewers that are up there, let's look at it. Storm relative velocity. Maybe here. Let's see what we're looking at. Oh, man, we lost it. Let's see what happened here.
Looks like, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so this is the storm we're watching. A little bit of rotation there. You see anything, Mia?
Nothing that really jumps out.
Yeah, maybe right there. Possible. It doesn't look terribly strong, but that's only one scan, so there may have been something behind that.
Definitely some rotation there. Maybe the next scan will show a little bit more of a tightening signature there.
Yeah, there's a little bit. It's broad, but it's there, maybe right there, just east of I-35. Again, this is around San Marcos, not here in San Antonio. But it just goes to show you, we've seen this before, right? It just kind of keeps redeveloping. And that does look like a pretty healthy storm. When you just look at it on radar, you see that storm kind of blossoming right over San Marcos and then working up towards Kyle. So I-35, there's the new tornado warning that was just issued.
And base velocity shows it a touch better, Justin, on that particular product there.
Okay, let's look at it. Yeah, for sure. Right there is where we would detect some of that.
So just for folks, here's the latest on that storm, Justin, since we're on it. They're clocking that, moving northeast at about 20 miles per hour this morning, running through 11:30.
Okay, let me take that off. It's right in this area where we would see some of that spin up. There's Highway 21, there's Interstate 35 near Syntex. There's Aquarina Springs Drive, give you some perspective. And this is moving out to the north and east as well. Just north of Reedville, this is moving up along Highway 21, which if you're familiar with that area, that kind of goes up towards the Bastrop area as it stems off of I-35. So that's another area where we could get one of these quick spin-ups. And the Weather Service is keeping a close eye on that potential. And man, that looks like a very, very healthy storm as it moves off to the north and east as well. It's really starting to get its act together. And that's going to produce a lot of heavy rain. So I-35, San Marcos up to Buda right now, blinding rain, blinding rain. And that's going to cause some problems, I would imagine, on the interstate. So that's the one tornado warning we have right now. That's for Caldwell County, more or less out of our viewing area. But I know we have some folks that watch us in San Marcos, so we don't want to not mention that. But we are focusing on these two severe thunderstorm warnings that are moving out of Atascosa County, Wilson County, into parts of Bexar County. And Mia, I think it would not be a bad idea, or maybe if they're listening to us in the booth, maybe we go on air one more time here, don't you think?
Yes, let me go check back in with them and see what they've got.
Sounds good. It's these two storms. This one goes until 11:15, the warning. This one goes until 11:30. And they're kind of back-to-back storms here. Nothing in this structure gives us great concern, but we think that we'll get some winds potentially up to 60 miles per hour. That's why the warning's there. And then, of course, as we've been talking about, the very, very heavy rain that goes along with it.
They're getting us all set up, Justin.
Perfect. Mia, what we could do real quick, if you want to help me out here, we are on air, and we want to welcome those who are joining us on TV. We're also streaming on the app. So We're kind of going back and forth. If you'd like to join us, by the way, on the KSAT weather app or the KSAT app, we're there talking about these storms, but we want to let you know we do have severe thunderstorm warnings in place. This one goes until 11:15, this one until 11:30. These are moving out to the north and east at about 25 miles per hour. Main threat with these is going to be gusty winds, as they could produce some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Possible. We haven't seen a whole lot of reports of that, but possible. And then the other threat here is going to be very heavy rain, and we've seen that time and time again this morning. And these are kind of training behind each other, so one after the other. If you're watching us from Elmendorf, know that you're going to get some very heavy rain. We're already seeing these rainfall totals add up. We'll put it in motion for you, and you can see these storms moving north and east, but not quickly moving in this direction. So that's the training situation that we're going to be concerned about. But also, as we noted this morning, there have been some spin-ups here and there. We're going to keep an eye on that. That is not the case with these storms yet, but if that were to happen, we'll certainly let you know. These are mainly just rain with some lightning mixed in and maybe some gusty winds as well. But to recap, severe thunderstorm warning, and I'm going to take the warnings off real quick and then put them back on for two storms here. This one, eastern Bexar County, and then parts of Wilson County moving into Guadalupe County, and then another one that's moving out of Atascosa County moving into southern Bexar County. We're going to continue to watch these. Again, you can join us on the app. We're streaming live with you there, and we'll be talking about all these storms and the rainfall that they've been producing here around San Antonio. Otherwise, we're going to send you back to programming. Okay, we're back on the app with you. Mia, what I'd like to do, I think this could be interesting. Let's take a slice of this and just see how tall these storms are, because my gut tells me they're not going to be terribly tall storms, okay?
Yes.
And they're kind of what we call low top storms, meaning they don't grow just way up into the atmosphere. But we'll check it out here.
I'm going to do, let's see, where are we here? There we go.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and draw. Our little cursor's not working. There we go.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a second.
There we go. All right, we're going to do that.
Yep.
So.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Got to step off. Got to get out of the way.
Sometimes, yes, the technology gets a little finicky. So what would you say? 30,000? A little less?
Yeah, these are not.
They're not very tall.
They're not tall storms, and that was kind of my inclination. You get these what we call low top storms, but the winds are just right. These are not these giant thunderstorms that we see in the spring. They're just not. But the way the atmosphere is set up with the shear, what we call shear wind shear, just was just right this morning to get some of those spin ups. Mia, thank you for doing that. But it just gives you kind of an idea that these aren't hail producers. These are not growing tall in the atmosphere. These are going to be mainly wind producers and rain producers. And that is what we're looking at as far as the severe threat. And I honestly, with these two storms, not to take away from the warnings, because there certainly could be some very gusty winds here, but I think that it's the heavy rain that's going to be the biggest problem if you're watching us or you're within these two severe thunderstorm warnings.
And I was just going to say, we're coming up on about 5 minutes until that first severe thunderstorm warning that stretches into Atascosa County potentially is expired.
Okay.
I'm going to keep an eye on the National Weather Service chat. They have not said anything regarding if they're going to reissue or extend that, but we've got about 5 more minutes on it, so we'll watch that one.
Sounds good. And I'm going to go back and look at the velocity on this potentially tornadic storm, and that looks a lot better, Mia.
And so, speaking of which, got some more comments from the National Weather Service on that one. They're saying rotation tightening up near the San Marcos Airport. A deputy on the ground reports rotation in the storm from the ground level, but nothing has touched down just yet.
It's tightening up. It is. It is. We can just see it here. So where you get this green color and this red color, and where they get close together, so you got winds going away from the radar and towards the radar. And that's how we detect spin. We can do that very well now with our radars. And this shows that we've got a spin tightening up. It's tighter than it was anyway. And so again, it's kind of in that same area, just northwest of Highway 21 and just east of I-35. This is generally out of our viewing area, but if you're watching us from San Marcos, I'm going to let you know you are out of the risk. You are not at the risk of seeing this storm. This is moving away from you. But those traveling up Highway 21, that goes up to Bastrop, right, Mia? That's
Yes, that's the Cedar Creek Bastrop area
Correct.
where it eventually feeds into.
and we know that because we're Aggies. We taken that road up to College Station before, but you see that's where the spin is right there, and we can zoom in a little bit closer. Again, this is nowhere near San Antonio. I want to be very clear about that, but that's Harris Hill Road, Cal Trail. That's where that spin was, and now we've got an updated scan here. It looks like it's a little more broad again, and that's kind of the nature of these storms. The Weather Service is keeping close tabs on this because of what we've seen so far today. We'll go back to looking at San Antonio.
Yeah, and I've been checking social media and things like that, and even KSAT Connect regarding these 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place. Nothing yet that I've seen, particularly when it comes to flooding or anything like that, and even these very, very, very strong winds. So we'll keep eyes on it, of course,
Sure.
but I haven't seen anything just yet come in of on-the-ground truth reports from these 2 storms here.
Well, you look at the structure of the storms, right? And that's one of the clues as meteorologists that we look at. And these storms are just kind of messy. This is not good structure, and that tells me that that's probably just rain and wind. Okay, that's really kind of the main concern. So we'll see if these warnings are allowed to expire. But where you see some of that pink color, that is some torrential rainfall. And again, we have not had any reports of hail. I don't anticipate hail with this. This is just really heavy rain, and that is literally right where Bear, Wilson, and Atascosa County meet. That's where some of the heavy rain is right now. We're still seeing that along 281. So Lemming, ton of rain. I think we can look at the rainfall totals again, the estimates from the radar, and it could be pretty telling here.
And you're mentioning rain and the winds. I just did some sampling here on the back side of things, just of potential wind speeds, and really what Authority Radar is estimating anywhere upwards of about 25 to 35 miles per hour for the most part in terms of common wind gusts with these storms, Justin.
Perfect. And 12-hour rainfall, still 2.5 inches. I mean, those aren't huge numbers, but I think that you're going to see them go up, okay, just with that storm over top. Let me switch it to 24 hours. Do you have something, Mia?
They are going to expire the severe thunderstorm warning. The first one that we have for Atascosa, Bear, and Western Wilson.
Okay.
That one is going to be expired. I believe the second one is still ongoing. That one runs through 11:30.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do with that one.
Yeah. It's looking a little ragged to me, and that's that. I mean, we still want to let people know.
Right.
Gusty ones with that, but I think it's not what it once was. Now we put on the 24-hour rainfall totals, and we can query this. Yeah, it's still looking at about 2 inches. So this is pretty new rainfall, but 2 to 3 inches of rain in a short amount of time, you'll see some flooding, and you can kind of see the 2 corridors here where we had heavy rain, northwest side, and then along the east side of Bear County where we're still getting some of those storms right now. Downtown, not a ton of rain, but we saw the tornado earlier, so we've got a little bit of everything this morning at this point. We'll switch back to radar. And there's the latest, just scattering of showers and storms, and I'll put it back into motion. And yes, looks like these warnings will be allowed to expire, so we can take these off. And there is just basically heavy rain now working up to the east side of Bear County. Interestingly enough, though, okay, having a little issue with the tracking there, but interestingly enough, a little tail here that's trying to work up through downtown, so we may get another good downpour here at the station. We had one earlier. It came down in buckets. It was loud, it's heavy, and that's kind of the idea. Let's see here, Mia. Should we? Do we want to go through those KSAT Connect pictures?
We can while we wait and see what they do with the second warning, maybe,
Okay.
Justin. And then we're going to have to take a step aside at some point to start doing some housekeeping things for the noon show.
Yeah, we got to get ready for the noon show.
Yep. So I can go ahead and do some KSAT Connect stuff while you maybe do that, and then we'll
Sounds
see
good.
what the second warning does here, and then we'll probably sign off for a little bit until the news at noon starts. But yeah, let me switch things over here to our storm pins, because this, of course, the heavy rain that we've had today, this is the other very, very big story. A lot of folks were driving along I-35 and even 281 this morning, and it kind of just stopped them in their tracks because we saw a brief spin up here right along that I-35-281 interchange. It kind of happened just east of 281, crossed over I-35, and then moved up closer to the Terrell Hills area and even Fort Sam Houston. So if you missed it, here's a couple of KSAT Connect videos that we had come in earlier this morning. This is from the Fort Sam Houston Alamo Heights area right around 8:15, and you can see some debris swirling around there, and right there what we think is probably a trampoline that's being lofted into the air. This was brief, but it did cause some minor damage. So I can show you some of those KSAT Connect videos as well. From what we saw, this is the first damage image that we had come in. This is at the Alcove Apartments. We have a couple of crews that are out that way too. So you can see that there were some shingles blown off of the roof, potentially even a little bit of debris here that kind of caused some more damage in the roof right there as well. So that was at the Alcove Apartments near Terrell Hills. And then as we move up a little bit more in the KSAT Connect photos here, I mentioned that we do have some crews out and about gathering information, talking to some people that were there at the time. This is from Daniela Ibarra here. This is near Dickman Road and Allen Road on Fort Sam Houston. We've got tree limbs, tree branches that are down. Even this tree trunk right here near the sidewalk was snapped. And Fort Sam Houston did put out a tweet, or an X, I guess you could say, formerly known as Twitter, earlier today, just saying that there weren't any injuries reported, thank goodness, but there was some tree limbs down trees, things of that nature, and also some potential damage to vehicles out there as well. But again, thankfully, no injuries have been reported with this brief spin up that we had here in San Antonio. This is another vantage point here from Crystal G, and where we think Crystal is traveling northbound on 281 right here and looking off to the northeast, starting to see that lowering right here. We think this is whenever it was starting to get going, and then it was able to touch down just a little bit. And one of the most telling videos that we have is this one from downtown, a high-rise building. There's some debris that's being lofted right there. This was taken around 8:04. You can see the debris lofted into the air, and then it's just slowly working its way towards I-35. So we were in talks with the National Weather Service earlier today. They have been saying that once this weather that we're still dealing with on the east side of San Antonio and east side of Bexar County starts to clear the area, they are going to send a crew down here, look at some of the damage, especially near Terrell Hills, near Fort Sam Houston. That's really the area that they're going to be honing in on to determine the exact path, the exact track, width, length, strength, things of that nature. So of course, as we continue to get more information, more confirmed and official information throughout today and even tomorrow, we will be sure to let you know as soon as possible. I do want to bring you back to the radar one more time here. I am going to zoom this out a little bit. We're going to throw on, so we still do have one warning in effect for about 10 more minutes. The first warning that was in place for northern Atascosa, southern Bexar, and even northwestern Wilson County, that has been allowed to expire. Still seeing plenty of heavy rain, though. Approach 181 near Elmendorf, Calaveras, Fairview, things of that nature, right around that area. And I do still want to note, though, we have one more severe thunderstorm warning that goes for 10 more minutes here. We haven't seen anything in from the National Weather Service that they are going to reissue this warning, but it is something that we are going to continue to monitor here at least over the next 10 minutes. And then we're probably going to cut you loose for a little bit so that we can get ready for the news at noon. But this is the latest, what we're looking at on the radar right now. This will continue until 11:30. So again, about 9 more minutes now with this particular storm. And what they have been warned for, these pair of severe thunderstorm warnings that we had, was really the potential to see some embedded wind gusts upwards of about 50 to 60 miles per hour. We haven't really seen any major reports. I mean, we've been monitoring the signature of the winds too, just to make sure that we don't see another spin up or anything of that nature as well. But again, we don't have any immediate threats or anything like that when it comes to a potential spin up or anything like what we saw this morning. Just know that it's something that we're going to monitor closer to San Antonio. But I do believe that there is still that tornado warning closer to the San Marcos area. They even trimmed it back a little bit. For the most part, this is out of our viewing area, but just for a few folks that may be tuning in from the San Marcos region near Kyle, just to the east of I-35, that is moving northward, so away from our viewing area and closer to Austin, but still right along the I-35 corridor. If you know anybody that's going to be traveling from San Antonio to Austin within the next hour or so, just tell them to be extra careful. And I would bet that there are some delays already on the interstate because these training storms have just been moving right up I-35. So heavy rain, definitely a bet right now, especially near Kyle and just north of San Marcos. And then even closer to San Antonio here, near New Braunfels, Santa Clara. Here's I-35 right here. I believe this is the Comal-Guadalupe County line. We've got plenty of heavy rain even over towards Marion, Steele High School, Cibolo, Schertz, Randolph Air Force Base. I'll put this into motion. This is moving in from the south-southwest and pushing farther up to the north-northeast in terms of its general motion. So again, as these storms continue to train, overall, the system is slowly drifting eastward, but these individual little lines of heavy downpours are moving in from the south and up to the north here. So while Schertz and Cibolo areas, Marion up on the northeast side, there are now seeing the heavy rain. Just know that on its heels, we've got a couple of more heavy downpours that are tracking up that way as well. So please be extra careful on the roadways. That's going to be a big message here, especially on the eastern side of Bexar County and then into Guadalupe County, Wilson County. Those areas will need to watch that too into the early afternoon as this slowly drifts its way farther off to the east. But if you're on the west side of San Antonio, for the most part, we are quieting things down near SeaWorld, Lacoste, even Lackland, but we have seen a few lingering pop-ups here. A lot of that moving north into North Bexar County, north of 1604, Timberwood Park, near Johnson High School, Stone Oak. You just saw a first batch of some heavy downpours, and then a second one just moved through within the past 20 minutes, even near Bulverde. Just a few more lingering clusters of downpours and a few showers here and there are still getting up and going, even over near the Bandera and Medina County line. But we're still going to stay on for about 5 more minutes here just to see what they do with this severe thunderstorm warning that they have not expired or canceled just yet. And then we're probably going to hop off for about 30 minutes so that they can get ready for the noon newscast. But what I'm going to do is run over here really quickly and see if the National Weather Service has said anything about what they are planning on doing with this second warning. They have not just yet, but they are mentioning that rainfall rates, are definitely something to monitor. So let's go ahead and look at that really quickly while we are still here. Switch it over to the rain rate. I'm going to go ahead and take the warning off for right now. And where you're seeing the pink, that is where we have the highest rain rates. So let's start over here near Schertz, Steele High School, Cibolo, Santa Clara, and we're just going to query. Take a sample anywhere between 5 to even 7 inches per hour, the rain rates there. So again, with this particular storm, what the rain rate is if this storm were to just sit right over your area and not move for an hour, this is how much rain you could find in your backyard rain gauge. I will say this individual downpour is moving, but we're going to have to watch, of course, is this second pocket of heavy rainfall crossing over Highway 87, near China Grove, near Lone Oak and Adkins, right there along 1604. We're going to have to watch where this one tracks because it could move into the same area that's already seen a large amount of rain in a short amount of time. So that's going to be something to watch when it comes to some minor flooding issues, especially in construction sites right along I-35, even I-10 on the east side right there at 410 has a lot of construction going on. So poor drainage spots, common, low-lying areas that typically get a ton of rain water build up when we have these systems come through. Just be very aware of that if you're stepping out to lunch on that side of the city or that side of the county, and just be extra careful. And I would prepare for a few delays as well, because roads are definitely damp and everybody's probably taking it pretty slow. I hope that people are taking it pretty slow. But just stretching over to the west here near Highland Park, Brackenridge High School, and even Southtown and Midtown, close to downtown here in San Antonio, South St. Mary Street, Carolina Street, Mission Street, seeing some heavy rain. I'll put this into motion too. This is working its way up to the northeast, so this is likely going to move closer to the Frost Bank Center, East Houston Street, even I-35 within the next 15 minutes here. So for any lunchtime plans that you may have, especially on the east side of the city and east side of the county, just be prepared to take it easy out there. Okay, so having some folks in the National Weather Service chat just asking to see what they're going to do with this warning. We've got about 3 more minutes. I have not heard anything, but I would gather or take a gander that they are going to probably let this one expire since the structure of these storms are looking a little ragged. But of course, heavy rainfall is going to be something that we monitor very closely with the remainder of these downpours and storms through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon as they slowly drift eastward. And we'll monitor for the potential to see another quick spin up, but that's not an overwhelming concern today. But it is something that we'll continue to keep our eyes on. So again, I'm just going to put this here on a major kind of outward loop here so that we can see the big picture. But okay, so they're going to go ahead and let these warnings expire at 11:30. So what we are going to do is we're probably going to take a step aside here on the Appcast and YouTube. We're going to end this stream. But on YouTube, we do have a 24/7 radar loop. Okay, so you can go and you can view the high resolution radar there on our YouTube page whenever you would like. And we're going to get things ready for the news at noon. Let some folks in the back kind of get ready for the show. And the meteorologist Justin Horn will join you guys with the latest look at the radar and the rest of the day and week as well. So we're going to take a step aside. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on our KSAT Weather Authority app as we walk you through Authority Radar. And we will catch y'all in about 30 minutes coming up on the news at noon.